Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Frank Lloyd Wright Lecture Series at Monona Terrace. Tonight, we are happy to present Doug Hursh, AIA Lead AP. He's an architect and planner with over 38 years of transformative planning and design experience, serving as the principal and director of design at Potter Lawson Incorporated, Madison's oldest architecture, planning, and interior design firm founded in 1913. Doug's strength lies in creating urban and community projects that elevate the quality of life for the city residents, and his expertise spans affordable housing, nonprofit organizations, cultural landmarks, commercial ventures, and sustainable development. At Potter Lawson, Doug has been an integral part of the teams behind notable projects such as Monona Terrace, the Overture Center, Findorff Yards, amongst many others. He takes pride in the firm's design legacy and the strong relationships built with local partners along the way. On a personal note, Doug's work is guided by an uncommon gift, and that is the ability to truly listen. Whether he's engaging with clients, community members, or collaborators, Doug has a way of hearing what people value most and then translating that understanding into thoughtful and enduring design. His projects reflect not just his architectural skill, but an empathy and a genuine attention to how spaces can serve people who use them. And on that note, I will give you Doug Hursh.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Thanks for coming. I'm honored to be here and to talk about my career a little bit and talk about Potter Lawson as well. Those of you who know me, I don't like to do this kind of thing. So I don't have really high expectations for this presentation, but there are a lot of fun things to talk about and to look at. So hopefully it'll be interesting. I was fortunate enough to get hired by Potter Lawson when I came to Madison in 1989. At the time, I didn't know, much about Potter Lawson, but I've been there now for 36 years, and Potter Lawson is really a Madison institution. It's been here for 112 years, and you're going to see some of the projects that we've worked on during that time that have really shaped Madison. Buildings that you look at and say that's Madison. I thought that I would do a brief introduction to give you a little bit of an idea of what it's like at Potter Lawson. Talk about the history of the firm. Just briefly, I am not an expert at the history of the firm. I was very concerned when I was putting this together that people are going to ask me, like, what was the date of that building? Or where is that located? I don't know all of that. I was hoping we have Peter in our office, who's the historian. I was hoping he would be here in case there are any of those questions. But so don't ask too many of those questions then. Then I thought we would go through some of the projects I like to talk about that I've worked on during my career. During the middle part of my career, you're a little bit more hands-on. Towards the end of my career, a little bit more of a mentor working with others, but still involved in projects. So I want to talk about those kind of in the middle of my stint here. And then share some of the questions for me at the end to make it interesting. So Potter Lawson, we're really right now in the range of 38 people, and that's really comfortable for us. It's sort of our sweet spot. We understand kind of the type of staff that we need, the amount of projects that we can do, and Potter Lawson has always been about the quality of the project, and not just the design, but the quality of the experience that our clients have, and the quality of the relationships that we have with them, and the quality of our work, our drawings, our details, all those things, because that translates into smooth projects for not only the contractors, but the owners and us as well. excuse me. I was talking about our markets we're pretty much a commercial architecture firm. I like to put urban infill as one of our markets because that's one thing that really interests me as well. State and county work we do, science, justice, tech, multifamily now, mixed use, as well as now hospitality. And you'll see some hospitality work towards the end. And like I said, we're design focused. The brand that we cultivate is for thoughtful, creative design and great service to our clients. And we've always, at least since I've been there, we've really been talking about quality over quantity, not really just going for as many projects or getting as big as we possibly can. But like I said, that size, that 38 is a great size where principals and partners, you really know what's going on in the office and have a hand in everything. Another thing that I think is gotten even better over time is this idea of a culture of happiness in the office. You spend a lot of time at work, and it's important to be happy at what you do and to hire people that you want to work with, people that you have fun with. So we have fun in the office. We have meetings that we end up laughing, in every meeting. We typically, yes, Scott's laughing already. We don't like to hire, big egos, like somebody who's a, big designer that wants to show off. It's not really our culture because we work together as a team. And we value everybody's skills, and everybody has different skills. So it's always, how do you engage every staff member to participate with their skill and make that a team that works together? And that's kind of what I think is important about what we do. Yeah, and the idea of being happy at work, people stay longer. People want to stay. That helps with the quality of your work and training and getting along with everybody and everybody knowing the way that we do things. It's harder if you're always bringing in new people. Collaboration has always been a part of our firm. We like to say that we play well. We're team players, and a lot of times we do team up with other architects who are specialists in what they do, like libraries or clinics, things like that, that will work with them. And that's how we learn new project types, like hotels. We did team up with a hotel architect that did interiors, and now we're also doing that as well. Talking about team, we pride ourselves at being a team player and working towards the best outcome. One of the benefits of working in Madison is that there is a professional nature in the industry, in the construction industry. And we all work here. You might not know this, but there are other places in the country where construction is a little bit different, the type of people that you work with. And here I think it's a Midwest thing. The contractors are very professional, and they want to highlight their craftsmanship and their workmanship. And I think that, working with contractors as team is a big part of what we do. We spend a lot of time in construction and working with contractors. So we have developed great relationships with the contractors we worked with. I like to say 4 out of 5 contractors would choose Potter Lawson for their own projects. I just made that up, but we have done Findorff's office. They asked us to do it. Ideal's office, JP Cullens, we've worked with them, Corrupt Construction. So I feel like, we've earned something from them, and that we're going to follow through. We know what we're doing, and we're going to be a team player and work with you. So that slide was supposed to be up. So this is funny. I asked my son Leo works in our office to take a picture of people collaborating. So it's a staged picture of Brian, Jamie, and Andy collaborating. It's like the same picture we always get of collaboration versus like a real one. But anyway, we are very collaborative. And then in our office, we have this big table because we didn't want, when people are eating lunch to be like eating by themselves. Everybody comes together and eat like a family in one place. And so we use it for design charrettes. I think this was a design collaborative about diagramming, and we'll sit down and brainstorm, on our own, and then get together and talk about it. So a way for everybody in the firm to learn about a new skill and talk about design. So a little bit about the history, and not too much. This was a drawing from 1913. This was James and Ed Law started the firm. It's the Gay Building is what it was called, and later the Churchill Building. It was Madison's first skyscraper, and it is still on the Capitol Square today. The little square box was where the firm's office was after we built the building. Apparently, I don't know if we bartered for office space, but every new building then we moved into potentially some of the worst like spaces that nobody else wanted. This is a building that's actually not there anymore, but I thought it was a really nice one. This was on the square, I think Pinckney and West Wash, where the glass bank building is now. It's a handsome sort of Italianate stone and brick building. But the photographs of the people that work there, it's always been about the people. Actually, they're on the roof and then they're in the space that looks like an attic. But they were in this building. This was in 1920, and the firm was in this building for 20 years, from 23 to 43. The firm did a lot of residential work, a lot of that new neighborhoods, which was University Heights, Nakoma, and Shorewood Hills. And these buildings were all kind of in a style, and we would call a traditional style building, like Craftsman or Tudor, Colonial, Italianate. And most of these buildings are still standing. And in our office, we have the floor plans and the drawings for most of them. This one was for James and Susan Law, and it was in University Heights in 1925. So fun. And these are not, the houses that are there, they're not giant houses. They're fairly modest. You know, probably 3 bedrooms, living room, a dining room, and a kitchen. But in the Tudor style, this photograph is a beautiful photograph that we've had in the office at times. It's the Dr. Neff family residence on the Maple Bluff. This is the house that's right on the top of the bluff. So if you're on the lake, you can see it. A beautiful photograph in the snow. This is the Tudor house that is right next to Edgewood University on Wingra. And then Ellis Potter joined the firm in 1916, and the firm became Law and Potter, I believe. So we're getting heads nodding. This is a house that he designed for himself in Shorewood Hills. And later, Jim Potter, his son, would join the firm and actually build a house across the street. So we did schools in the community. This is Longfellow School over by Meriter, and it is, it's been converted into apartments now. It's not a school anymore, but a beautiful photograph. We did the West High a building. And I remember everybody saying like it was too far out of town. It got criticized. And now it's the urban high school for sure. Notice the steps at the bottom because they've been changed from the original. There's some renderings, early photograph. You can see the steps. And then this is what exists today, which what's nice is you build something nice with nice materials and people love it, they'll keep it. And it's a sustainable measure. Also, Ann Morrison says this and Jake Morrison says this. You build, buildings that people love, they'll save them. And so this has been saved, still use it, new windows, probably new roof, but it's been taken care of, still going. Let's see. This building is not in Madison. It's in Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, Central Illinois Public Service Building. It opened in 1931, about the same time as the Empire State Building. This was really the style of the day, this Art Deco style with the very dramatic renderings at night showing how the building could be lit up. And in some of the documents that we have, they talk about the floodlighting. They called it floodlighting at the time, and that it was very special. It had heated sidewalks, underground parking, fast elevators, 4 fast elevators. It's still being used today. And I was just looking at the rendering, and I'm sure that they were inspired by Hugh Ferris, an architect and illustrator from the 20s and 30s, who drew these fantastic drawings where the buildings were lit up, sort of the Gotham kind of Art Deco style. It's another view of that building. I love the cars. This is the Tenney Building in Madison, so not as tall, not as dramatic, but you could see some of the same features. It was designed around the same time. They must have been busy this time in 28 and 30. It has a similar kind of sconces. And this is a picture of it today. Still being used. Collectivos on the ground floor. Very popular retailer. Another building that's still downtown is the Power and Light Building, which is now the Hovde Building. Also about the same time frame, built out of limestone. And then in the back of this building, there was a bus depot. It still exists, the bus depot portion. A picture of it today. We did apparently a lot of fraternal organizations. This is the Masonic Temple, Madison Masonic Temple. Pretty monumental building. But we did them actually all over the state, smaller ones, similar. And this is one of the drawings that we have. People have their weddings there because it's such a nice building. And if it's nice enough, you can get it on your building on a postcard. We did a lot of the fraternities that are still standing and the sororities as well. This is one, Beta Theta Pi, that we recently were asked to help remodel. And this is a rendering of some of the work that we did on that. The first Congregational Church. This was also drawn in 1928. One of the kind of landmark churches in town. We also did work at Meriter Hospital. parts and additions. And then I'm going to jump to 1973. This is the Dane County Coliseum. The story goes here, this is really Jim Potter's baby, we'll call it. He was really lobbying hard for this project and that the county should build it as an event venue. At the time, the firm was down to 3 people in 1973. And they teamed up with a structural firm that had 50 people to say that we're a big enough firm to do this project. And it is a lot of structural work, but also a lot of architectural design and figuring out the exiting and how things work. So it was quite an accomplishment. And after that, they were able to hire a bunch more people. And I think Dave Lawson came on board at that time. And that's the Potter and the Lawson that are in the name now. The barracks building, you might not know it, but designed in the 70s. Still looks contemporary and could have been designed last week. It has those sunshades. It has aged well. It has those unique kind of forms and it's broken up nicely. The sunshades actually double as catwalks for cleaning the windows. And then in 1982, the Rayovac building on the Beltline, designed to replicate speed, the idea of the horizontal bands and the stepping of the building. And I'm going to throw in a contemporary project. This is from the 2020s. Jody gave me a list of all the dates of all the phases because this went on for a long time, but I'm going to say 2020s. They really wanted a glass building, so the building was reskinned while they worked in it. Findorff was able to put up, little temporary partitions and reskin the building with somebody sitting in a workstation 6 feet away. Amazing. And by the way, Findorff built the first building. Rich Lynch, who a lot of people know, was the project manager, and they poured those precast panels right on site. This is the backside of, or the entry side of the new Exact Sciences Discovery Center, which was the Rayovac building. Andy Laufenberg designed the exterior, the beautiful sort of sunshades on the right there, which open up into this large common area. Okay, so then we go back to 1992. I joined the firm in 1989. I remember that there was a referendum in 1992 to build Monona Terrace. And we had shirts that we wore that say, "Do the right thing" on it with the W. Yeah, it was very good. I think they actually had the logo figured out already too, but and this was a rendering that I don't know if maybe Jim Anderson, if anybody knows, he was like the great watercolor guy in Madison that you'd go to for a rendering like this, all by hand, was one of the images that was used for the referendum. We worked with Taliesin and Associates. They moved into our office on Schrader Road, and so the lower level became the Monona Terrace office with Taliesin and our architects kind of working together to put the project and get it going. And it beautifully kind of fits into the city. It's now the iconic view. It's on the City of Madison logos. It's what you see when you come up John Nolan Drive. And hopefully with the Lakeway project, this will also make it even better around the lake. Better access to the lake. So after that was complete, the next big project, that iconic project, is the Overture Center. And Ralph Jackson's here. Ralph and I, we both worked on the pre-design study for the Overture Center. Both Potter Lawson and Flad worked together as the local architects on the project. We came up with the program, the feasibility study to see what could fit on the site. We helped to hire the theater project architects, the acousticians, and eventually Caesar Pelli. And all because of Jerry and Pleasant donating that $205 million gift. We found this picture. We did. That's Dave Lawson on the right and me on the left, on a private jet that the Frauchis hired for the board and the preliminary design team. This was before Caesar Pelli was hired. And we went around the country looking at the newest halls. We were in all over the place, and there were different types of halls. Some were like very fixed in place, others moved, so you can change them into different configurations. And they definitely liked the fixed in place version. But that was a highlight for me. Yeah, some images, saved the Yost facade, the main hall. One of the things Caesar Pelli said about the hall was you don't sit just facing the screen. You sit in a circle so that you can see the other people. You are there with other people to experience the show. Not like a movie that you kind of are experiencing on your own. It's about being in your community and experiencing a show and laughing together. And then the Capitol Theater got also remodeled. We also worked on the library. So right next door, another iconic building in the city. You can see the preliminary, the existing building, and then what we did with adding, going up. And then one of the big things we did was make it more transparent on the street level and have access from the sidewalk instead of just that solid brick base. And we worked with MSR out of Minneapolis, who are library specialists. And interior was, I love transformations of existing buildings into new spaces. It's fantastic to see what you can make them before and afters. Okay, so that was, I think that was around 2010. And now this goes to 1998. We worked on the Findorff building. Originally, it was Kurt Hastings and Rich Lynch and Dan Peterson, and they wanted to do, and really Kurt Hastings, I think, was pushing for this, wanting to do something special, some special piece of architecture that represented construction on a site that the Findorff family had started a business, even older than Potter Lawson. They had a lumber yard on the site. And they originally hired Coleman, McKinnell, and Wood along with us. And they designed a two-story building that was longer and they needed to buy another lot. And eventually they gave up on that, and Findorff just hired us. And they said, can we just do a three-story building and not have to buy the lot? Because the person who owned the lot did not want to sell the lot. So, and we were happy to help. I think this is a building that is well liked. We get compliments from it. I love it. This is a style that I really enjoy. I like the idea of expressing the structure, but in a warm way with the wood, creating shelter with the roof, opening it up to the lake, bringing it down towards the neighborhood. It's also a nice scale at 3.5 stories, but also still monumental. And, every architect's dream to design a building where the contractor wants to express the structure in the building, because that's the work that they do. The steel, the wood, the concrete, the brick. And there is a poured in place wall that had to be poured twice in the lobby because the first one didn't look too good. And then Findorff grew. When we designed that building, they had 40 project managers. They could all fit in one conference room. They're a much bigger company now. So we did an addition for them 2013, I think it was 2013, 2015. It included this new fun break room with the history wall. After Findorff, I think it was around 2001, we started working on a project for Edgewood. We have had a great relationship with Edgewood. We've done master plans, I don't know, 36 different projects or something on the campus, from really tiny ones to whole new buildings. But this one was very much a challenge. It was a really tight site. There's an Eagle Mound to the north. There's Park and Pleasure Drive to the south. There's a single family neighborhood to the west. So we spent a lot of time with the neighbors, listening and coming up with a memorandum of understanding. So that, and really it shaped the design too. You can see how the roof slopes down towards the neighborhood to make it smaller, and slopes up towards the campus to allow natural light in. The geometry of this building is just worked out so nice. There's one bar that aligns with the neighborhood, and then the other bar aligns with the grid at the campus. The two different grids sort of coming together in this one building. And it created this courtyard or atrium space between the two bars of classrooms that opens up to the outside. So you could have an outdoor classroom, they have outdoor plays, and then it creates an atrium, sunlit atrium with this connection to nature, which I've always thought is very important. The idea of being able to connect with nature even when you're in a building, letting the light in, having the view. And I think these classrooms for drawing and painting are fantastic, with really high clear stories and views towards the lake. This project is a transformation project. Here's what it looked like before. And this was after Overture, and Pleasant Rowland wanted an office that's closer to where she lived. And this building was available. And she asked us, do you think we could make this into a nice office? And we're like, I am not sure. Look at the corridor, and that guy, his head is almost touching the ceiling. Some of the beams were at the bottom of the beams were at 7'3". But so we came up with a plan. With Pleasant, anything is possible because it's going to turn out great. The plan was to make the spaces a bit smaller. So not big open spaces, but smaller spaces. The offices got pushed sort of on this ring where the structure was, where the 7'3" beams were. And then there's just one row of workstations around the outside, and then a sort of a courtyard team room in the middle. And then the outside got cleaned up, added some more windows. We added some bleached cedar. And then the inside became this very light, airy. This was very much Pleasant style. It's almost a gallery-like. And then her artwork is displayed throughout the building, which was fantastic. And this is that courtyard space in the middle with the skylight. It's a team room, a library. And this was their Roland Reading Foundation group on this floor. So I enjoy the transformations. This a little bit more contemporary, 2011. This is where our office is located. It's part of a master plan, which also included structured parking, multifamily housing, and really got us back into the multifamily housing market. But our offices are on the third floor, right in the corner there where the sign is. And I want to say too, all of these projects, they're not just my projects. There's so many other people that worked on these projects. It takes a team. Scotty worked on this project and had most of the hand into what it looks like. But all of our projects are like that. It's a team. It's not just one person. There might be somebody directing it. There might be somebody working on the exterior, interior. We have interior designers that do fantastic work. It's very much a team. This building is LEED Platinum. It has geothermal wells all the way around it. So it's very energy efficient. And then give you a little look at our office space. This is a professional photo, so they're very clean, and it's not that clean. But that's our harvest table where everybody gets together for lunch. This is just a fun photo. We had some of our history artifacts out one day. The views are great. Beth calls it a snow globe in the winter because the snow kind of swirls around the building. Natural light was very important to us, and views. Also, when people look into the space, you can see into our work. So we wanted people to be a part of it and to come in and people walk through the space when they go to a conference room. So they see everybody working and they see all the stuff that we have out. And this is another professional photo, very clean. But you can see all the light. And the other thing was we wanted everything to be open, meeting rooms to be open, that things weren't happening behind closed doors. The idea of trust and everybody seeing what everybody else is doing. And the idea we all are working together in this one room. It's a studio. There are places in the middle where we can collaborate together. I can collaborate together. I see a lot of people collaborating at their workstations because they're big enough for other people. That's what that little red stool is for somebody to come sit. So this is a clean picture. You guys didn't know I took this one. So this is with my iPhone, but this is what an architect's office really looks like. There's a lot of stuff. And so just to say too, there are some clean desks, but this is the interiors department in the bottom half, and they have a lot of stuff. And they get busy and they don't have time to just, we're going to send this stuff back and we're going to file it. No, we just leave it out because we might use it again. But this is life. This is how we work. You got to have stuff. It's not like the pictures. Do you like that? You like them? Yeah. Okay. We've done a lot. The other thing that we've done a lot of is university projects. This is Gordon Commons, but pharmacy, biotech, meat science, University Square, Energy Institute, Granger Hall School of Business, as well as UW systems projects. We usually have one in the office all the time. Right now we have something at UW Health at the hospital, and UW Eau Claire is under construction. There's always a big project in the office like that. Oh, and this also, like University Square is in the background here, which we did, which I didn't include. But I think one of the big things that we did here was East Campus Mall. This is the beginning of the East Campus Mall. And you're going to see that in the last project being completed. We really wanted to do multifamily housing because of the urban infill that we were seeing happening in the city. And we didn't want to get left out. And this is Andy Laufenberg worked on the exterior of this project with ULI. I think it's a great urban infill contemporary project. And the interiors are lovely. This is Novo. The unique thing of this is at Potter Lawson, we were involved in the original master plan for this area. And then the city went with Beitler to build that parking garage at the bottom. And we worked with Stonehouse to put the building on top of already finished and in-use parking garage. So this is a project that I have been working on with the Corbs and Kurt Brink since 2016, I think. So almost 10 years, but it seems like it's been longer than that. And this is the master plan for the site. I didn't realize the slides are getting cut off on the edges. But this is the Kluter building, the Hotel Indigo. This is the WIDA building, and this is a project we're working on now. So the Kluter building was the old Mott's paint factory that had left years ago and had been run down. The building was actually built in 1915, I believe. It's a fireproof grocery warehouse. It was all out of concrete. It was a hard building to convert into anything else. Like, it didn't work good for office because it had lots of columns. The ceiling heights were low, but it actually worked really well for a hotel. This is what it looks like before we started working on it. And then this is the addition and the restored building. And the fun part about it is we got to expose, the existing building. We worked with GBA as hotel architects and Insight Consulting architects for the historic tax credits on the existing building and the restoration. So it was definitely a team project. And GBA on the interior here really dug into the paint factory theme for the project, and this was the sign that was on the building. And then the WIDA headquarters happened in the back behind on Main Street, and I just think this is a new landmark building on Main Street that people will love, and it's not going to get torn down. If you see it, the brickwork is beautiful. It has depth. And the idea was this was industrial neighborhood and warehouse district, and we wanted to kind of lean into that with a contemporary building, but in that idiom, something that fit with that. I mean, the story could almost be this was renovated and a penthouse was added. The details and the shadows. And then Jamie worked on the interiors, which I think this is the most beautiful boardroom. And Andy too. I can't name everybody that worked on all of these, but because I'll miss somebody for sure. But there's Andy, the coffee. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was some of the changes that I've seen in my since I've been there. And this is a rendering. I didn't put any in, but we did, we used to do renderings with Prismacolor pencils, and we'd have to, figure out the perspective, and we would draw it. And now we build these buildings in, computer generated models in 3D where we can experience them almost like real life. And this is the hotel that would go next to the Indigo that we're working on now. And I really put it in because I just think the renderings are so nice. It's still in that style, it's more of an industrial kind of character. We thought each of the buildings should be different on the block, so it didn't look like, it was all designed at the same time, but kind of happened organically. And there's 5 floors of parking or 4 floors above the first floor. And then there's this roof deck and then the hotel above that. And so this roof deck will get a hot tub and a bar. So you can sit in the hot tub and get your drinks. And the floor tiles will be heated so you will not slip on the ice when you're getting your drink in the middle of winter. But the renderings are just so amazing. Oh, and this overlooks Bree Stevens Field. So for a concert, you can come and you could rent a spot or room on the floor to watch the concert. And there'll be a bar and restaurant where you can sit outside on the roof as well. I just think the renderings are just amazing. And interiors too. This is after COVID, 2021. And this is an office space for a app company. So they're programmers mostly. And they're not required to come to work. They can work from home. And so the idea was, can we build something, make something so nice that people will want to come and work with their teams and socialize and meet people. And so this is that space. It's a little different than a typical office building. This is a room where your team could live in the room for a day if you're working on a project. It has a focus area at one end of the building. So this is a focus area on the right. And then all the way to the other end of the space is the social area. So it was kind of a gradation from one. You could be somewhere in the middle. You could be, I want to be quiet and just code, or I'm going to be social and work. And this is the social area with a bar and outdoor space too. More nice renderings. Also, this is one of our newest projects, just opened. I think we started working in 2022 and it just opened this year, 109 East Wilson Street. These are renderings of the project. Andy designed the exterior. I think the renderings, I always like the evening renderings, are fantastic. We actually had an even better version of this, but this is the version that won the heart of the developer. And one of their great ideas was this promenade. So if you're on East Wilson Street, you can't see the lake. You just see buildings and you don't have access to the lake, and you're up, 3 or 4 stories. So this is a promenade that gets you to the lake and then to a terrace on the backside. And in the future, when the Lakeway project is built, the John Nolan will be covered up, and that will be a park that connects to this level. So the public will be able to come from downtown and get down actually to the water without having to cross the road. And this is the food hall on the left, a restaurant, I believe on the right, and the bar there on the right, as well as the entrance to the beautiful apartments. This is the terrace now with parking below. Oh, these are getting cut off. This is a rendering. I just now am noticing that. Half the rendering. And then the space. Okay, so last project. This thing is timing me. This is much longer than I thought. This is the triangle. And we were hired along with Ann Morrison and New Year Development, Ann and Sarah, New Year Morrison and 2 sisters anyway, to redesign this space for the city and for the CDA. It was a neighborhood. Before the 70s, they raised it and built public housing in the idea of housing in a park where you put a big building and the public and private space is undefined. The street grid is lost. And so those buildings are going to come down. And the idea is we're reconnecting the street grids. The sidewalks will now line up. The buildings will front the street so that you have public space that's defined, and then courtyards, private space for the residents that are private and defined. And then also, this is the continuation of that East Campus Mall here, where right over here is the Kohl Center. So you can get to Lake Monona, and you will be able to get all the way to Lake Monona on a pedestrian, bike-friendly pathway. So we're finally connecting both lakes. Originally, this housed about 350 people, and it's sized now for up to 1,200 people. And the neighbors, we had lots of focus groups and lots of outreach. There's Anastasia there meeting with the neighbors about their spaces and designing for them. They will only have to move one time. They will not have to move more than once in the way that the project is phased. It will also have one of the largest geothermal systems in the city. There are no fossil fuels except for maybe a grill or two, I believe. So it's going to be very sustainable. And this is just a sort of a massing model. Those aren't designs, those are just massings with little pretend windows. This is the first project that is under construction now. And then this is the last slide. I just put up one of the things we do has been part of my job for like 35 years is to draw the holiday card, which we picked, one of our projects and in a sketch form and watercolor and send out to everybody. These are just some of them. And with that, can open it up.
Thank you very much. So we have a few minutes for questions now. Does anybody in the audience here want to start with a question? Oh, we have one in the front row. Long-time listener, first-time questioner.
And Doug, I knew you'd do this. Excellent work. Fabulous. Thank God you're doing this in Madison. It's key to the success of the city. Tell us about you.
Me?
Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? How did you get this great talent in architecture?
Oh, well, thanks. That's fun. I actually grew up in Florida, Orlando, Florida. My mom is from Cuba, and she kind of had the artistic side. She would do pottery, and she put me in art classes when I was a kid, and I enjoyed always drawing all the time. And my dad was in construction. He actually worked at their office got a lot of the Disney work. And so I got to see that as a kid growing up. So yeah, I liked to draw as a kid. I remember drawing floor plans and redesigning my fish tank in elevation and plan. And then I went to University of Florida in Gainesville. I actually didn't know I wanted to be an architect. Took a while. I went to school for 2 years before I started architecture school, and then I went. And it was a really good program. There's a lot of good architects that came out of that. People that were in my class that are at Caesar Pelli and other big firms. And then I moved to Chicago after I graduated because I wanted to live in a big city that was, had some history, not like Florida cities, which were all, not a lot of history, more developed after the car, not before the car. So I moved to Chicago. I didn't think I'd live there forever. I thought, oh, this would be fun to try. I'll always go back to where it's warm eventually. But and then my wife came to Madison. she got accepted to get her master's here in zoology. And so I moved here. And then I worked for another firm for 6 months and then actually made really good friends at this firm. And then Potter Lawson at the time had an ad in the paper. You had to, if you could imagine it, it's so funny to even think about now that there were, you looked in the paper to see if somebody was hiring and sent my resume in, interviewed, and thought, oh, this will be good. It could work. So, yeah.
Do we have any questions from online? I'm just going to grab one from the online portion.
Hi there. I do have a question from a Zoom audience member. Was there anything from the Monona Terrace design that got changed or anything that you wanted to change?
I didn't really work on the Monona Terrace project that much. I was new to the office at the time. I don't remember too much about it. It's definitely changed from Frank Lloyd Wright's original proposals from the 1930s, but they had to make it, work for today. But there's a lot of, the basic ideas that Taliesin brought forward with the design, the symmetry with the Capitol. And but I do remember, one of the things I remember was seeing the roof with water, with several inches of water, because just to test the roof to make sure there were no leaks before all the pavers got put on. So it was a water test. I remember the first time seeing anything like that. Interesting thing, now we do green roofs, all the time. One of them kind of big changes that I've seen my career. I also remember the fountain that you see at the top so you see from the Capitol at the above the entry point, I guess, wasn't part of the project originally because they couldn't afford it. And Pleasant came up with the money to fund that because they thought it was important.
First Frank Lloyd Wright building that doesn't leak.
Jake.
We got another question in the audience here.
So as a firm that has had such a storied history and trying all different kinds of project types, how would you sort of rationalize how Potter Lawson sort of tries so many different kinds of projects rather than really specializing in one kind of project? Like, is it more of just, I want to try everything, I want this firm to grow and try everything and have as many partners as possible? Or is it just you want to serve the community in the best way and you know the community best, so you want to try every kind of project to serve the community?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we don't work in a huge city. In just today, I have to say, thank God Madison is the size that it is, because I was in Atlanta and Orlando. I'm like, no, cities get so big at some point, it just becomes, I don't know, you don't feel as comfortable. You get home to Madison and you're just like, this just feels right to me. It's the right size, it's comfortable. But we say that we're nimble, that, we'll almost do anything if we feel like it's a good project and would be good for us and would be good for the community. When we did see that, people are wanting to really live downtown and there was a lot of housing being built as infill housing, and we weren't doing it. And we said we wanted to be a part of that because we wanted to be a part of building the city and doing all these infill projects. We have an amazing marketing team and building development or business development team. And they always say, life is about saying, yes, we can do it, and then figuring it out afterwards. Some projects, we go after clinics and we figure out how to do it. if it makes sense for us. I don't know if that's a good answer for you, but I think, it's also about the economy and, what's happening. Like in the 90s, we did a lot of offices and suburban offices too. And, in the 2020s, those completely went away. And so you have to find another market, to keep busy. And we don't like traveling. We don't want to, fly all over the country because we picked one type of project that the only way that you can, keep busy is to find that project in, 12 states away. So we like going home to our families at night. I think it's part of the happiness and work-life balance. Although there are projects we have traveled for sure. And it is hard on the teams that are doing, we have a project in Texas right now and it came about because we did a project here, the meat sciences at UW, and it was sort of a one-off. Nobody does these. And it was hard. And so we got hired to team up with another firm in Texas. And so we're doing that. So we're kind of the expert on that project. But it's hard on the team, living in Texas for 2 days and then flying back. And
I thought I maybe saw a hand start to sneak up, or we can, yep, we have one in the back.
So if one of the through lines of this talk is, a person and a firm who have really shaped the city of Madison, and as someone who is obviously keenly aware of, what's going on in the building, the projects that are going on in town, and who probably has, thoughts about the future of Madison, what as a design professional and an urban planner and an architect, what are some of your thoughts about as you begin to become more interested in mid-afternoon naps than architecture? What are some of your thoughts and your hopes for the future of the city, the design of the city, the buildings, the growth of it or non-growth of it?
yeah, Ken Psyche and Pat know this, but I always wanted to be a landscape architect too, along with being an architect. And I took some classes too. And when you had to remember all the plant names and then, the pH of the soil, then it just wasn't something I was that interested in. But I think greening the city, every time I see, streets with no trees or walls with no plants or, no spaces for humans, I think we need to pay attention to human space. We can build densely, but I feel like we still need to provide spaces for people on the ground level. We need to provide spaces for plants, for greenery. I mean, I think the best building would be one that turns green in the summer and it just becomes covered with plants and vines. I mean, it's just in our nature as humans to want, that connection and the greenery, the access to water. I think we need to pay attention to that. And I think we should, continually carve out spaces for people in any type of city planning, master planning. When's the last time we built a piazza or, a square? Maybe they're happening in some of the new urbanist type, suburban developments, but is it happening downtown? If we want our city to be a great place to live, I think we need to have places like that.
I think we have time for one more question, and we're going to take one from the online portion. Heather?
Yes, I have something here from Stu Levitan. He says, no question, a statement and suggestion. What an extraordinary record. You should commission Doug Moe to write a heavily illustrated coffee table book on the firm's history, and I'll write the foreword.
Sounds good. Yes, I think we should. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doug.